we've come to the end of the course, and there does seem to be some sign of spring out there. Not much, but a little bit. I think we got above zero yesterday. So I just wanted to offer some final remarks and talk about the exam. I know people are always concerned about that. And just as an overarching comment, as I've said before, we don't give you exams to torture you. We give you exams to make sure that you've understood the content. And so that's the whole point of a university course, is that we can measure to some degree how much you've understood the content. So that's the aim of the exam. And I just wanted to thank you all for your engagement on the discussion boards. It's been just so interesting. And I really felt that I'm always amazed at how successful those boards are. That we really were getting into some of the most pressing, in my opinion, the most pressing issues of the day. And that was always my aim with this course. The title of the course, of your textbook, is Understanding Society and a Survey of Modern Social Theory. And I think that's a good organizing concept, which is the idea of, can we use this thought to understand the world around us? And as I said at the very beginning of the course, if we can't, then it's just kind of interesting, right? But I don't know how useful it is. And so this is a photograph of a very recent protest in downtown Toronto by, well, it wasn't just the Iranian community, but it was regarding the ongoing war in Iran and whether Canada should get involved. And so just to give you an example, I was walking around in a city in southern Ontario, and there's a cafe I go to, and the Persian, the Iranian flag was up and the Canadian flag was up, and I sort of knew the owners were Iranian, but there's a huge diaspora community in kind of Richmond Hill, Aurora area, and so I've met many people from that background and talked to them about the situation, and there's mixed feelings about it, depending, right? One cab driver I talked to had been drafted into the Iranian army when he was 15 and fought in the Iraq War. So his views were very negative about his home country. Others don't believe we should be interfering in Iran. And so what I'm hoping for from this course is that it's not that it gives us the answers to these very complex questions, but allows us to frame them and put them into some kind of a context. So what does it mean when a country rejects the UN and just goes off on their own to wage war? Okay, so these kind of questions we can start to ask about what's going on around us and our society and the international order. I think it's important at this point to look at the aims and architecture of the course. One way of getting at that is to look back at the syllabus. And so under expectations of the course, I have understanding the contemporary sociological theories discussed in class and in the readings, okay, and all the material that I've attached to Blackboard. So obviously that's central, that you've understood it. Ability to identify key ideas, concepts, and theories and how they apply in the contemporary world. So again, understanding the concept, but how do they apply? And so that is why throughout the course, I've been giving you examples like YouTube influencers and so on, so you can see how does that work in the contemporary period. Because a lot of these writers were writing, the turn of the last century and before. If we look at Weber and Durkheim, they're obviously still central and important, and that's why I included articles using their work in the contemporary period. But so able to identify and apply these key ideas, concepts, and theories. Evaluate some of the major debates and thinkers within contemporary sociological theories. So that very first tension that we talked about of critical theory versus the functionalists, for example. And so this is the nature of sociology. It's the nature of the academy, that there's no right answer per se, or obviously I might think there is, but you might not. So this is a debate, but it's not just a debate, it's an informed debate, right? And so it's very important to, I don't know if in middle school, you ever did this, where you have a debate and you're asked to argue against your own beliefs. It's a very interesting process. So this idea of we also have to understand thinkers even if we don't necessarily agree with them, particularly if they've been influential in sociology. I followed largely the outline of the textbook just to make it easier, and it's a lot of material. Obviously, I realize that, and I will be interested to get your feedback on the textbook. The discussion boards for this week will be just asking for your feedback and feedback on the textbook. I would really appreciate that. And okay, so just to finish off, to demonstrate an understanding of the economic, social, and political circumstances that shaped and shape sociological theory. This is very important because I sometimes when this is taught, it's as though these ideas are floating in space and they don't have a context. And we can see if we're looking at things like race theory, feminism, that's clearly not the case. There's no sort of neutral, objective idea floating out there. Every idea and concept is coming out of its own from the person, and that's why I included biographies for a lot of the thinkers, because it is important where they were born, when they were born, what class they were, and so on. To apply your understanding of contemporary theory as a means of interpreting the events happening in the world today. So that's so as I've been saying, that's also very important because otherwise it's just a mental exercise. But so I'll be again interested in your feedback. Is it helpful? Can you use these concepts as a lens to gain greater understanding of the world around you? So I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about that. So I want to turn now to exam preparation. I know this is often something that's preoccupying you. And of course, there's no magical silver bullet to this. It's just work. And so I'll give you some tips, but I don't think they're going to be very surprising. So go over all course material, including discussion boards. And also, I designed it with your assignments that they're focusing on key aspects. So maybe read over your assignment also, because you've already done all that research. And so go over anything I've posted. And I would really recommend taking notes, written notes. We know this is better for remembering and reflecting and thinking through something if you're writing it down. And make sure you understand the concepts and can apply them. Okay, so those are two separate things, so that you understand these concepts but also can apply them to an example. Okay, so if you have any, if as you're going through you feel like you don't, you can reach out to me and we can talk either via email or we can set up a meeting on Zoom or on the phone. So if you have, as I said, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. And lastly, and I know no one likes to hear this, but enjoy the process. I just really, this is my pitch for humanities education, okay? We're so lucky to have this time and space to think about these things, because most of, a lot of life is just dealing with reality and feeding ourselves and so on. But to be able to talk and think about these ideas, this is what the whole process is about. So, and take care of your health as well. That's very, very important as we go into the exam period. Now, this is, as you know, an open book exam, and so I'm going to be looking for more detail. Now, there's no set length of answer. People always ask me that. Just look at how many marks the question is worth and go by that. But it's up to you. I'm giving you lots of space to tell me what you know. It's very open-ended. It's no point form ever. If any of you have taken my courses, there's no point form. It's all in proper sentence form. And as I said, I'm leaving it very open so you can tell me what you know. You can show me what you've been reflecting on from the course. And as I said, I'll be very interested to get your feedback on the discussion boards.